Pretty Girl Club. Welcome back to the Pretty Privilege series. In this episode, I'm going to talk about pretty hair privilege. So, I believe that there are many different aspects to pretty privilege. I think that there are some people who have certain features about themselves that grant them a form of pretty privilege. It doesn't have to just be your hair, but I just really wanted to bring as much nuance to the conversation as possible because I just feel like whenever people talk about pretty privilege, they're only talking about it from a macro level and they don't get down into the details about what gives someone the pretty privilege, what exact features, what is it about those things that is perceived as pretty. By the way, this video applies to all races and hair textures. So I was able to think of quite a few different aspects of what makes someone's hair perceived as pretty. So number one is having long hair privilege. Depending on what community you come from, I know that in the Black community, long hair is heavily envied and pedestalized, regardless of your hair texture. You could have 4C hair and have people be envious of it because it's so long. And I think part of that comes from ignorance, like within the Black community, or maybe people in the Black community not being exposed to long natural hair as much. So, long hair privilege, regardless of your texture, you will most likely get people complimenting your hair length. You'll most likely get people asking you questions like, how did you grow your hair that long? Or they might even offer you a job to like do somebody else's hair. I know that that used to happen to me in college. My hair wasn't even that long, but people would offer for me to be able to do their hair. And that is absolutely a form of privilege because your hair is actually granting you opportunities. Anytime you have a certain aspect of yourself that is granting you opportunities or is giving you some form of credibility, that is a privilege. Having instant credibility, that's definitely a privilege. Having people instantly trust you is a form of privilege. And so having long hair and then having people trust you with their daughter's hair or trusting you with their own hair, that is what I would call long hair privilege. Another part of pretty hair privilege could be thick hair privilege. So let's say your hair is not the longest in the world. Maybe your hair is very thick and full. That is something that a lot of people envy. That's something that a lot of people are spending millions of dollars on. Like they're spending money on vitamins right now, Jamaican black castor oil, and people are going out of their way to purchase things to make their hair thick. So if your hair is thicker, that is also a form of pretty hair privilege. You might have people comment and say things like, oh, wow, I wish my bun was as big as yours. I know that for me personally, having hair thickness, that's very important to me. So when you wear your hair in a bun or if you wear it in a puff or a ponytail or something, it looks really full. A lot of people tend to associate thick hair with youth. I personally associate thick hair with princesses. I don't know why my mind automatically goes to like a Disney princess or like, I don't know, Rapunzel or a mermaid or something. So having thick hair is another form of privilege. You may have thick hair privilege if people comment on it, they compliment you on how thick your hair is, or if people are offering to do your hair. Maybe they want you to be a hair model for them. Maybe there's some hairstylist and she's like, hey, I'm doing this hair show or I want to show off my skills. So I need someone that has a lot of hair so I can kind of show how I can do my highlights or how I can do the color. That is a sign that you have thick hair privilege. Another aspect of pretty hair privilege is shiny or silky hair privilege. Having shiny hair that looks like silk, having hair that is sparkly and glistening, that is very coveted. That is seen as being very glamorous. I mean, think of the lengths that people go to get rid of frizz and stuff like that. So I think that a lot of people in the Black community have associated shiny and silky hair privilege with being texturist. But I think that having shiny and silky hair, it's not just something that people want in the Black community. I definitely think that that is its own beauty standard. So yes, sometimes people could be texturist, but there are also people who like cottony hair textures. And so if it's okay to like cotton textured hair, why is it not okay to like silky hair? But silky, shiny, sparkly hair is hair that can be seen from a distance. So you have shiny hair privilege when people start asking you questions like, did you dye your hair? Is your hair wet? These are the girls where maybe your hair looks wet when it's not wet. Maybe when you wet your hair, the shine it's out of this world. It makes your hair super shiny. maybe you can just put on a little bit of gel, and whatever gel you put on just makes your hair shine and glisten. That is something that will increase your visibility. It draws attention to you. Some people may even describe your hair as being silky or being glossy. They have hair salons where they do like gloss treatments. I know that in the black community, you guys may not know what that is, but in non-black communities, they have treatments where you can get a gloss on your hair to make it look shinier. Another type of pretty hair privilege is hair styling privilege. And this is where black women really shine the most, in my opinion. A lot of the most creative hairstyles that I've seen and kind of the versatile hairstyles have come from the black community. So, hairstyling includes wigs, weaves, braids, locks, whether it's fake or real, any hairstyle that you can think of. If you are good at styling your hair or switching up the styles, switching up the color, you look like a different person every month, you definitely have hair styling privilege because hairstyling is actually a skill. Knowing what hair colors look good on your skin tone, knowing what updos frame your face the best, knowing how to do all the braids and all of these crochet methods and stuff like that. That is absolutely a privilege because you have more options when it comes to expressing your style. You can actually match your hairstyle to your outfit. One of the disadvantages of not knowing how to style your hair is you may not be able to express yourself as much. Like you can only wear it in this one style that you know how to do. But if you have hairstyling privilege, you can be very creative. You can add some hair in, you can do your natural hair. And another aspect of hair styling privilege that I've seen more so in the non black communities is hair accessories. So, hair bows, headbands, the combs that you put in your hair, the little clips and barrettes, and those sparkly headpieces that women wear at weddings and stuff. All of those things are enhancing the actual style of your hair. You're making a fashion statement with your hair. You are dressing for the occasion. You're making your hair one of your accessories. You're making your hair into a piece of your outfit. I've noticed the difference between like the African American community versus non-black communities. I've noticed in the African American community, a lot of people view their hair as almost like a spiritual part of themselves. I know that some native communities do this as well, some indigenous communities, where they view their hair as a part of their spiritual self, or they view their hair as a part of their identity. You know, it's a part of their ethnic identity. It's a big part of how they see themselves. Their hair kind of tells the story of their ancestors. So there are some people that have kind of a spiritualized view of hair. And then there are the girls who happen to tap into hair styling privilege, where they view their hair as just another accessory. So whether it's real, fake, blonde, black, they may dye it different colors. They might dye it purple or something for Halloween. Maybe they will put on a wig sometimes. Then the next day they'll take off the wig. So it's not so much about telling the story of your ancestors. It's more so about doing it for style and fashion. But that is still a form of privilege because you have creative expression. A lot of people pay thousands of dollars for hairstyling. This is also where a lot of trends come from. A lot of hair trends come from women who just were in their bathrooms and they just came up with these ideas like, hey, let me put my hair in a puff today, or let me put my hair in a single braid. And you may have hairstyling privilege if a lot of people ask you questions about how you got your hairstyle. They may ask you, like, oh, how did you do that? Is that a crochet hairstyle? How did you braid your hair so intricately? I have friends that have done their own sew ins. I didn't even know that was possible. I didn't know it was possible to be that good at braiding your hair to where you can do it like from the back and you can like sew it in. So that is absolutely a privilege because it takes a lot of skill. It takes a lot of attention to detail in order to be able to do that. And you may even find yourself getting a little side gig. You know, this is how a lot of hairstylists actually become professionals because maybe they started off tapping into their hairstyling privilege, just kind of practicing on themselves, doing all these cute creative things. And then next thing you know, they're doing hair for their friends and family, and now they've got a whole hair salon. That is absolutely a privilege because you're able to utilize your creativity to increase your finances. Pretty hair privilege is something that matters because in the society we live in, people are going to notice your hair. Your hair is the main thing that frames your face. In some cases, your hair can frame your body, like it can go with your body frame depending on how long or short it is. your hair can give off signals about your cultural background or maybe even your ethnic or spiritual background. So that's why I feel like we should break it down and talk about hair in terms of pretty privilege. Have you ever noticed that when you change your hair, the type of pretty privilege you have is actually different? Or at least I've noticed that with myself. I think it may depend on how much ambiguity you have in your look, like outside of just your hair. But I know for me, if I wear my hair curly versus wearing it straight, I get different types of attention from different types of people. And so that is something to take into account when it comes to your personal pretty privilege goals. Do you like a certain hair color? Do you want to tap into a certain audience? Like, think about the concept of privilege. Privilege comes from people, so pretty privilege is going to come from others. I've noticed that if my hair is black and long and straight, I tend to get a lot of attention maybe in the Hispanic community, sometimes in the African American community. If my hair is curly, I notice I tend to get a lot of attention in the mixed race community, like if it's curly and black. If I do any highlights, like blonde or something, I get compliments from like the Hispanic community. So that's something you may want to think about because for some people, maybe you really like socializing in a certain community. Maybe you really like appealing to certain communities. Maybe you want to be associated with a certain community. For example, if I wear my hair in a French roll or if I wear my hair in a low bun, that is going to help me to feel like I'm being more elegant. I just feel like having a low sock bun or something like that with some studs, maybe having a pin curl bang in the front, that makes me look very professional. I've noticed it gives off very formal vibes. For some people, they wear their hair like this for weddings. And so the way that you actually wear your hair, it can change people's perception of you. So it's up to you to decide what type of pretty privilege do I want to tap into when it comes to my hair. Do I want to go for a beachy look? I know that whenever I'm going to the beach, I love when my hair is curly or maybe even long and wavy. I might wear like some long wavy extensions or something, some sort of clip-ins or like maybe a half wig or a quick weave that's like long and goes down to my butt because it helps me to feel like I'm a real life mermaid or something. So that is something that you get to have fun and be creative with. Like, okay, what kind of pretty privilege does this particular hairstyle give me? Does this hairstyle give me the bohemian pretty privilege? Do I have kind of like this princess version of pretty privilege? I know another thing that happens with me is anytime I wear a straight kind of synthetic wig, kind of like this body wave or barrel curled quick weave, it gives me a very pageant look. It gives me a pageanty look. It gives kind of a princess look. I've noticed that if I would wear my hair like that to work, it would give like this newscaster look. So, depending on what type of pretty privilege you want, you can actually strategize and say, okay, what type of beauty standard works for the environment that I want to go in? Do I want to create my own custom beauty standard? Do I want to try to meet a different beauty standard, or does that make me feel uncomfortable? Would I rather create my own beauty standard that is just based on my natural phenotype? All of that is stuff that you get to decide on your own. Remember, your social climbing journey and like the way that you view yourself or the way that you're treated, that's all up to you. So you get to decide how far you want to take it, or if you don't want to participate in it, if you're just like, look, however my natural hair is, that's just how it's going to be. And whatever I have naturally is what I have. That's okay. And then for some people, they may want to switch it up. But what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.